let's forget my microphone. I think this is just about where I want it. Just about where I want it. I think my two little cheat days was not working well for me. I think that includes this almond butter. My body quickly adapted to the higher fat and meat that I've been eating. So I'm gonna have to keep it like that. I'm gonna have to just keep it like that because yeah, that's okay. So I just wanted to come on and have a little chit chat. Just wanted to have a little chit chat with some people because still, there's a big interest in van life. So let's just keep it 1,000 about it. So I just want to. Where's my water? Where's my other water? This is a reality. This is a reality of tiny, tiny, tiny space living. Um, although everything has a place, you put something somewhere and then immediately it vanishes. Immediately. It's like, where is it? I'm looking for my other water. You would think, this big bottle, how does it just, I don't know. That's a reality. You set something down and then where is it? It's like, where did I put it? Where did I put it? Because there are some things that constantly shift because once you set up your home, when you move in or when you first build it out, even whether it's a no build or whatever, that's one thing. But as you start to living in it and the day to day and buying things and shoveling things around, and then because the one thing that's really hard to prepare for and think about, even when you think about it, is the little stuff. Like, okay, where am I going to put my jacket when I take it off? It's one thing to have storage for your summer and winter clothing or whatever, but it's altogether different when it's just like, where do I put it? In my other home, I use my hooks in the back to hang my jackets and things like that. So that was easy. This home, I don't have that. So a lot of things are in my driver's seat, like right now. But is this it? Here it is. And then, not to mention my big crock pot that I recently bought. So that essentially lives in the front seat on top of my um, on top of my small refrigerator. That's where that lives. Then when I drive, I put it back here on the floor. And then when I'm back here, it's up there. So things like that. Eventually, I will create, hopefully, a home for that where my other pots and skillets and things like that are. But it's a big stock pot. So it, I don't know if I can show you. I'm plugged up, but see, it's right there. This is where I keep it now. So yeah. Um, but anyway, these are a part of real life mobile dwelling. And Also, I really want to touch on, because I hear a lot of people saying, and welcome to new followers. If any jump on this live or watch the replay, welcome. Thank you so much for subscribing to my channel. I appreciate it. Um, a lot of people are really excited about starting their van life, their van dwelling life. And I don't know what's in their mind. I don't know where the excitement. I mean, it's exciting. I'm not saying that. And this isn't to turn anybody away, but it is a real life. Let's keep it 1,000. Let's keep it all the way 1,000. And this is for whether you're traveling or not, which for me, traveling is going to be the most expensive and the most challenging way to live in a vehicle. But it's not all beautiful. It's not all Instagram picture perfect. You're not always going to be sleeping in somewhere that you would prefer, especially if you're traveling. If you're local, I think the best van dwelling life is being local. Even if you even if you move to different states, but you're in that state for a few months or a year or whatever, I think that's the best because you can keep your amenities around you and you're not sleeping in such off the wall random place. I do have a video coming showing some parking spots. Um, but it's not all lovely. It's not all beautiful, no matter what the case is. Like there's some spots, some of the spots that I show on the video is near the airport. Where I'm at in Newport Beach is near John Wayne Airport. There's a small airport, and I believe it's an international airport. So it's a busy airport. It's not LAX, but it's a busy airport. And private charter planes fly out of there. So one of the places that I was sleeping was damn near on the runway, so you have that to contend with. And it just may not always be pretty locations. It may not always be where you open the door and it's like, no, that may not, that's not everyday van life. Let me just say it like that. That is not everyday van dwelling. Not at all. And again, when you travel, um, you do have to consider the fact that although they don't promote it, you can YouTube search it. You do have to consider the fact that breakdowns happen a lot more regularly for the van lifers who live full time on the road. They travel full time. Breakdowns happen a lot more regularly in their van life. And so that's a reality. That is a reality that of course that's not going to be promoted. Of course that's not going to be spoken about on the bullhorn on a regular, but that is a regular occurrence for traveling van lifers. So that's a real life aspect of living this lifestyle that you need to know about. And you can't always prepare for breakdowns, but at least if like hearing me say it over and over again, when it happen if and when not if when it happens to you as living on the road, at least you'll have this one voice to say, you know what, Shalonda did say that. I didn't believe her. I didn't believe her, but she did say it. And then you get this thing fixed, and then a couple of weeks later, something else go wrong. And it's not the same as just having a vehicle. No, because you've outfitted this vehicle for living and you're driving it a lot more than you would normally. So it's definitely not the same. My previous home, I live in the city, but my previous home, hey, what's up, Miss Monica? My previous home, I hope I saw that right. Yeah. Um, I ended up being sold a lemon. It was a lemon when I bought it. And again, everywhere I move, I don't know anybody. Like I've been a nomad before I was a mobile dweller. So every state I live in, I don't know anybody in that state. So I bought it. I unfortunately in California have had a terrible time finding competent mechanics. So I didn't have anybody to look it over before I bought it. I was just trusting the black dude that sold it to me, and it carried me for 2 years. I have no complaints about it, but it was down for 7 months. It was not my vehicle for 7 months. It was only my home. I was walking back and forth to my clients. I was stuck. And it's only because of my belief in God and in myself that everything worked out the way that it did. But that is a real life reality. What turned out, I had oil leaks. Every single spot where oil flows through, it was leaking from. Okay. And so I couldn't imagine living on the road and having all that happen. I couldn't imagine. But that was just in that vehicle, right? But even for me, being on the road and catching a flat tire, and you're in the middle of not really anywhere, because let's say you're going to your next camp spot or wherever. For me, being a single person, I don't have anybody in this world that I can call for anything in the flesh, like no physical. So for me, that just has never appealed to me. That's not why I ever chose this life, because I know that's a reality. I know that's a reality, you know? And it's a reality that, like I said, it isn't spoken about heavily, but it's dealt with heavily. It's dealt with. And just be aware of the fact that um, you may have times, it'll be easier if you're a city dweller, a local van dweller, mobile dweller, because you'll have your select few spots of where you park. But if you're not parking, parking is easy to find when you live local. I'll say it like that. When you live locally, parking is a breeze, and you won't realize that until you become a van dweller, to whereas parking essentially is your life, because when you live traditionally, you park at work, you have your parking spot at home, you park at the grocery store. It's just parking spots are there for you. And I don't park in like Walmart parking lots or things like that, but parking is really not difficult as a city dweller. Dumping dumping your toilet as a local dweller, it is not difficult. You just go and dump your toilet. It's not a thing. Whereas I always hear, for years I've heard traveling van lifers say that's one of the annoyances or problems, like having to drive around and find somewhere to dump their toilet. And I'm just like, I can't relate. I can't relate. It's living in the city. It is easy. There's dumpsters everywhere, and those same dumpsters, animal poop gets put in. The only dumpsters you don't dump in are the ones that specifically have a sign that say no dumping. And those are maybe 1 out of 10. Even if it's 3 out of 10, you still have seven other dumpsters and locations where you can dump your waste. And it's not a problem. And that's in any city, rural, that's just not living on the road, living local. So that I don't have a problem with it. Filling up my water is not a problem, because I'm not traveling. And the reason I say these things, because there's going to be some in between time where you're on the road. It's a drive day, as they say. You're on the road and you may need some of these things, or you're on the road and something may happen. You start hearing these sounds, these sputters, some things start happening with the vehicle, and you're 50 miles from your location and 75 miles from your last location. Just that in between, it's just like, that's a reality. That is a real life reality. And like I said to someone before, and like I've experienced myself, I've been stood up by AAA. I even had a AAA dude come out. He would not accept my US passport and he left. He straight left. So I can't imagine. And these are just experiences I've had. Even before I got AAA, I've had people tell me about how they've had to wait 3 hours for AAA. AAA never showed up. Like for years, I've heard because I used to have MCA, Motor Club of America, and I've heard many AAA customers, current customers, tell me their horror stories about AAA. So people will say that's what AAA is for. Yeah, good luck with that. Good luck with that. And then again, a lot of people really fantasize about getting into this lifestyle to be out in the middle of nowhere. Okay, well, you're out in the middle of nowhere. You know what I'm saying? Keep that in mind. Again, this is never to discourage anybody, but the big, you know, uh, romance factor that people have with living this life, it's because they don't see the day to day real life of it. It was just raining here in Cali for 2 weeks straight. Okay. In the winter, California, it rains every year like clockwork. Southern California winter season is the rainy season. It always rains in California in the winter. That whole that whole song is a myth. So it was just raining here for 2 weeks straight. Imagine, imagine. You know what I mean? Like rain, rain. You see the streets beginning to flood. Rain, every day for 2 weeks, and you live in your van, and you're at a campsite where it's just dirt and mud, baby. Just you have to think about these things, and then if you're traveling through the Midwest or the West or the upper Midwest or upper Southwest or you know it rains. It rains. Or imagine if you're somewhere in the desert and it's scorching hot and you're not into heat like how I'm into heat, so you won't be outside. Like all these things are real life. The inclement weather, the not picturesque views every day, the not picturesque locations. Pulling up to a location, think you're gonna park there for the night, and then you just like, this ain't it. And you already chilling out for the night. Now you have to get back in drive mode. And this I think is a benefit. It's a plus, but it's a reality. You have to get back into drive mode after settling down for the night, closing down for the night, and now it's like, mm, I can't stay here, and you got to pull off. But that's a plus, though, right? Because if you live in stationary traditional, you can't pull off. You just stuck there. You didn't see all that when you came and toured this place or when you looked at this home or this apartment, and now you stuck in a lease. But again, this is the reality. You may have to have that happen. I've had to do that. I think every van lifer has had to do that. Every single van lifer, whether they live in the city or travel, has been shut down, relaxed, ready to chill for the night, and had to get back in drive mode and find a different location. Every single one of us has had to do that. So just be prepared. Be prepared because that is a reality. That is a reality. Now, what I say about living locally, you have your few spots in rotation, and it could be like I have my spots when I go out to Laguna Beach. I have my spots in Huntington Beach. I have my spots in Santa Ana. I have my spots everywhere I like to go, right? So I know what to expect from all the different spots that I have. So, it is what it is in that sense. Uh, but just keep these things in mind because it really is about perspective, just like life. Life is all about perspective. I make it sound really beautiful and epic, I feel, because for me, it is, and it's exactly what I wanted. And then I've always lived an uneasy, non traditional life. I've always lived, kind of unstable. I've always just march to the sound of my own orchestra. I've always done that. So and I don't negotiate with myself. When I make a decision, it's done. I don't go back and forth with myself. I don't battle with myself. I don't say, no. I don't fantasize. When I decided to live this lifestyle in 2017 in a little bitty 97 Honda Accord, the first night I slept in it, I was sold. No, I wasn't completely comfortable because I didn't have any window coverings. I was in a parking lot and I was uncomfortable because, people could just see in if that was the case and I couldn't just rest comfortably. But just the idea of it, I was like, I'm not going back. I'm not going back. I said, this is it for me. Like I love it. It was thrilling. It was thrilling for me. The thrill um of it was just dope for me. And I never had the desire to travel the country, to put all those miles on any of my vehicles. That was never my thing. I just thought from 14 years of age, paying utilities is dumb as fuck. That's the dumbest thing ever. And it doesn't make sense to me. I used to always have conversations. Everything we need for our survival is supplied naturally. Everything you need to make clothing is natural and it's free. To eat, it's natural and it's free. Light, it's natural and it's free. Every single thing. And I've been having this conversation since I was 13, 14, 15, and older. So it was just a matter of time for me to completely get out of that. But it was never anything that I've done. Like I never had an apartment for years. Uh, Most of my life was spent living like in between places, and I'm okay with that because I'm figuring out really how I want to navigate my life because that ain't it. That was never it for me. But that first night in my Honda, I was sold. I was sold. It was a wrap for me. So I wasn't looking for the prettiness or the escape because again when I was young I decided like a young teenager, young adult, I don't want a life I have to escape from. I want to live my life however I want to live my life. And I'm such an interesting person and such a weirdo that every day is an adventure being me. So I don't need to escape and look for adventure. So that's why it's easy for me to share exactly the real deal of living in a vehicle, whether you choose to be local or travel. It's not always. And some people that create social media accounts, that's some of the things they say. Like they didn't feel like their days was worthy of sharing anything. Well, that's crazy to me. But it's because they could have been somewhere, in an industrial area. They could have been stuck for a few days, stuck as in just not driving anywhere and not feeling motivated because they don't know what they have to offer to social media. So if it's not a pretty view, if it's not something to make people feel like shit in their own life, then it's not worth posting. And that's just not how I get down. That's not how I live. I'm eating dinner and what I gotta figure out how to make this bigger. I'm eating dinner, and what magic are you making today in the kitchen? You know what? I uncanned one of my jars of goat meat. It's probably getting cold right now because I don't want to just be smacking. But that's what I took out. That's what I took out, my goat meat, because I need some more fat. I've been eating kind of lean, not lean, but I fell off the wagon a little bit, and my body is paying for it. So I got goat meat. Hey, Mercedes. I'm a weirdo too. Amen. Amen. Okay. So, um, if you're not looking for, if you're just looking to, live life on your own terms, on an extreme minimalist route, then absolutely, absolutely. But just know that every day isn't a holiday. But if you make it than it is. If you have the perspective of, baby, this is what I chose, and I make the best of every situation, then it truly is. For me, one of the dopest things is being in my home and listening to the word around me shuffle and rustle and bustle, you know, listening to the parents. And when I say listening, I just mean just hearing it, right? The parents early in the morning getting dropping the kids off at school and the kids whining and just that whole rigid life of chaos, which I think it's chaos. Like to take these small children who learn by doing and who have an abundance of energy and to put them in a room and have them confined away from their parents for hours not learning anything about life that's gonna fucking benefit them, baby, that's cruel and unusual punishment right there. And then for parents, adults, to take themselves where they also can benefit from fresh air, nature, moving around, learning about the trees and the land around us that can heal them when they're sick and feed them when they're hungry, to go to a job, an office, fluorescent lights, and getting paid pennies on the millions of dollars. Like, that's insane. So to be in here listening to all the chaos out there, I just be chilling. I just be chilling. Because it's like, of course, y'all are fighting. Of course, the kids are miserable. It's early as hell. It's early as hell. They don't want to be bothered. They don't want to do that. So I like that. I like that for me. I like that when I'm in here chilling and there's chaos going on around me. And it has absolutely nothing to do with me. I like that. I mean, it has absolutely nothing to do avec moi. I like that. I like that a lot. hmm I'm in the parking lot of the library. This is where I've been staying. And before I started canning, when I would cook, I love to hear the children walking by. Oh, what is that smell? Or the adults. I love, that they can smell the aroma of real food being cooked coming out of this little minivan. I love that. I love that. But their life is so chaotic and fast paced that, when I hear them, oh, you want pizza? And it's just knowing the standard American diet is just such trash and so unhealthy. I love that. And the children, to see children when they look in here and when I have my doors open, oh my goodness, it was so cute. One day, this was back towards the end of summer, beginning of fall. I had this door right here wide open, and a woman pulls up in the parking lot, in the spot right next to me, and she gets out with her couple of boys. And the one little cutie pie with glasses. I wear glasses. I've worn glasses since I was a small little bitty girl. Um, I just don't have any right now. But the little bold one with glasses, he looked and he came because it's really plush in here. And he came up and put his hands on my bed and he looked in and peeked his head in. I said, "Hey, little cutie." It was the cutest thing ever. He was just so intrigued. He couldn't not look. Like he just couldn't help himself. And it was the most adorable thing to me. Kids love it. My clients' kids in my previous home, when I gave them a tour of the mansion, they loved it. That night they asked their dad if they could sleep in the car. And they slept in his maybe that weekend they did in his Prius. But they were just like, "Oh my god, this is so amazing." You know? 9 to 5, get up, dawn and go home. Uh-huh, it's getting dark. Hated it. Yeah. Yeah. It's really it really is an awful life, and that's not cap at all. We all know it's an awful life. We all know it's unhealthy, but we as a society are so afraid to march to the sound of our own orchestra. We're so afraid to do that. And I have always been deathly afraid to live according to society. I've never, like my whole life, I've been made fun of, teased for doing things my way. I couldn't care. I couldn't ever care. I couldn't ever care. I am, I need my solitude. When I was younger, when I was in my early 20s, I would pull myself away and be in solitude for years. I prefer my own company. I prefer solitude and silence. And I mean extreme, on the extreme level. I don't ever need to go around people. I don't ever feel the urge for uh, I don't ever feel that urge. I don't ever feel that desire. When I was living traditionally, I used to have to think, really debate on if I wanted to call one of my fake girlfriends to go to the mall with me. I'm like, do I want to be bothered? Do I want to be? I have to think about if I want to bring someone into my company. And most times I'd end up being no. I'd say, nah, let me just go. Let me just go. I don't ever need, because I've always just been me. I've always been and I like it like that. I like to be quiet. I like to be quiet. I don't like people just talking just to talk. I don't like small talk. So for me, this lifestyle is absolutely top notch. Absolutely top notch. It's unbeatable for me. And I know I make it sound amazing because for me it is amazing. For me it's amazing. Even when I watch videos and people talk about who they're going to visit and staying with this person and that person, I don't envy that. I don't feel like, oh, I wish I had that. No. Mm-mm, mm-mm. I'm glad I don't have anybody pressing me to come visit them because baby, all I'm thinking about is those are miles. You live all the way on the other side of the country, baby. Those are miles that I got to deal with. Mm, mm, mm. I don't know, so, but that's me. That's Shalonda Elise. I don't miss nobody. I only miss my solitude when I'm around people. That's the only thing I miss. When I'm around people, I miss being alone. I'm be like, damn, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go. And that's for real. That's me. So it's easy for me to share a real life, real deal of real van life, you know. And like I say, there are a lot of van lifers who say the loneliness is what gets to them. The lack of community is what eventually gets to them. And I've heard men and women say this who are van lifers. I can't relate, but that is a reality um, for a lot of people. Living on the road, not having any stable connections, and moving away from the stable connections that they had built over the course of their traditional life. It gets to some people because they were thinking about the fantasy. The beauty, the Instagram pictures of van life, when people feel motivated to share their YouTube of van life, you know. Somebody commented when I shared that my window was shattered. Like, thank you for sharing that. This really happened. It's really happened. And I shared my real reaction in the moment. In the moment. First thing I did, pulled out my camera. In the moment, that was my real reaction. And it didn't change from that because that's really me. But that's the reality. I was on Instagram them 7 months when the mansion was down. Everybody saw that, but I was still me, you know? And people had suggestions coming from all over the place. No, baby, I trust God. This is all going to be taken care of. I'm not about to dig myself into a hole taking your suggestion and you don't even live this lifestyle. You live in a house somewhere. No, I can't listen to none of that. God got me, you know? 7 months. I didn't have a vehicle. I only had a mobile home. 7 months. So this is a reality. And I'm in California. I had never been to California, even to visit before I moved here. I'd never been here. When I moved to the next state, unless I decide to just go back to Florida, I mean to Arizona, not Florida. If I decide to go to Florida before I go back to Arizona, I've never been to Florida. I've never visited Florida. So that'll be a whole new experience for me. But this is how I live my life. I like to move to places that I think I want to go to, that I think I want to see. And I've lived my whole life away from my relatives. So I'm not codependent on them or needing to be around relatives at all. Not at all. So for me, it's not a thing. But that's a reality. We put a lot of wear on these vehicles when you're constantly driving. Le Chateau right now, when I bought this 6 months ago, it has 61,000 miles on it. Or was it 60,000 and something? I think it was 60,000 and something. And then I rolled it over to 61,000. Like it was 60,009 something. Like it was a great buy. And so I rolled it over to 61,000. Right now, that was 6 months ago. Right now, there's 64,000 something miles on it. If I lived on the road, I would have hit 64,000 miles 3 months ago, 4 months ago. You know what I mean? I would have already probably, short a month after I got it, depending on when I left. But if I lived on the road, I would have way more than 64,000 miles on this right now. Right now. So, I think about that because again, my life is unlike many other people, whereas I don't have anyone in the world that I can call for anything in the flesh. God got me, and that's why I listen to me and God's voice inside of me, and I don't listen to anybody outside of me. I don't listen to anybody in the flesh outside of me. No, because I know who been looking out for me my whole life with doing the unorthodox weirdo shit that I do. So that's who I trust. Yeah, that's a big fat lie. They were telling at first. Driving every day, different cities every week. Yeah. People do it, but they don't emphasize the mileage and they don't emphasize the wear and tear and the breakdowns that they have. That's what I'm saying. They don't emphasize those things, but they happen. Like I said, you can do a YouTube search of van life breakdowns and then just go down the rabbit hole of binge watching the videos. It's real life. I'm not just blowing smoke up nobody's butt. That's real. That's real life. You can't put all that wear on a vehicle. And then, like I said, you built it out so it's got weight on it that the vehicle was not built for. You know what I mean? It has its weight. Now I'm not saying they go over the weight capacity because the vehicle has its weight maximum, right? But when these vehicles were manufactured, they weren't thinking, "Oh, this is going to be somebody's home one day. There's going to be cabinets in here. There's going to be a bed in here. There's going to be, you know, a refrigerator, a stove in here. There's going to be these things in here." That wasn't the thing. That wasn't the thing. And then you'll see those who they'll get their suspension upgraded to accommodate the additional weight that's going to cost you. They'll get these things done um, so that it can support the additional weight, even though they're not going over the overall vehicle weight maximum. You still you're adding weight that the vehicle was not built for. You know what I mean? And yes, vehicles are built to be driven, but not the way us van lifers drive. And I say us because I do live in this vehicle, and I have to get from one state to another. I just don't live on the road, you know. But it wasn't built for that with the additional weight. So with that, I've seen people axles, suspension, tires after the suspension is like all kind of things, noises from the engine, just all kinds of things that happen. And it's not again to discourage. It's just to say keep these things in mind and keep it in mind for your income. Keep it in mind. Um, have money put away for your transmission for when that goes out. Just have that put away. And then, constantly think about having money put away for different repairs that may come. And then with all that driving, like I say all the time, you're going to have oil changes more frequently. Think about that. The cost of gas. You're not paying rent, but now you pay $800 a month in gas. I mean, for some people, it may be worth it for a beautiful view or sleeping at a truck stop. you know, I saw one van lifer. She booked the campsite, but she didn't read the fine print. She didn't check in by 6 p.m. They were closed. Now she was sleeping at a truck stop. Baby, that is not ideal. That is not ideal. You know? So it's real life out here. And I just want people to be aware of it. So, with the excitement, just really think about how you're going to navigate your van dwelling lifestyle, how you are going to conduct your van dwelling lifestyle, how you're going to live it, because it's all on you. Don't architect it the way somebody else architects their life because they may not show you everything, but you can absolutely architect it however you want to architect it to where it fits you, it fits your comfort level, it fits your budget, your income, and how you want to live your life, you know. But alternative lifestyles with these unnecessary high cost of living, um, that's the smartest way to live because you just need shelter. You need shelter, you need food, you need water, you need clothing. All these things as thinking adults, I would think that people can figure out how to supply those things on their own without someone saying, well, here, this 794 square foot apartment is for rent for $1,800 a month, and we're going to pay you $22 an hour to work 45 hours a week. That's just ridiculous. That's just ridiculous. And once you think about it, when you drastically lower your expenses, you don't need as much. You don't need as much. And for those like I recommend who plan to move into a van but stay local, you can keep your job. So if you bringing in $2,700 a month, how much is that going to give you to put away now? So that you can start preparing and saving up for your long term aspirations of how you're going to live your life, buying land or leaving the continent, going somewhere else and buying land. You know, you'll have the money to do that now because now your outgoing expenses are only, let's say, 300 a month, but you bringing in 2,700 a month. Like, this is simple math right here. This is real simple math. You don't have to you don't have to be wasteful and extravagant just because now you may think you can. You still got to think about the unforeseeables and the what ifs as far as uh, tomorrow. So put away something now that you have some extras, and who baby that pepper, and you'll be able to live. Like I said in one of my videos, you'll be able to now explore the beautiful sights and sceneries of where you currently live that you didn't have the time or the mental capacity or the energy to go and see. Now you can go and see these things, some of the free sights and sounds and events, and get your daily dose of vitamin D and fresh air because now you have the time and the money. Because you'd be surprised at how much energy you'll have when you get done working now that you're not going back to the same old place and these same old drab walls. You know, you'll be surprised. And the cure to boredom is just finding something to do, exploring within to find out what your interests are. If you're not interested in anything as far as just start doing things. Just start doing things. But you will have to create a whole new routine because now your life consists of working and coming home or, whatever it may be. But once you become a van dweller and now you actually are seeing your paycheck, instead of just spending that money because you're bored, because again, you're living super tiny. So there's no sense in accumulating a bunch of stuff, a bunch of clothes, just a bunch of unnecessary stuff. There's no sense in doing that. That's just stupid. That's just completely a slave mind of being a consumer. That's just stupid. Put this money away and find things to do. Find parks, find museums, um, just find things to do, whatever it may be. Even shit, you may need to just sit still, but whatever it is, find something to fill your time with. Uh, I would say doing things that you weren't able to do before. You know, if you met up with your homies for happy hour and you close the bar down, I would say stop doing that because now you can actually enjoy your life. You know, working and going home like that's miserable. So sometimes, the highlight of the week is meeting up with your girls on Wednesday and Friday for happy hour at the local, little speakeasy at the local little hole in the wall, and y'all shut the place down because everybody's life is miserable. Everybody hate their job, and just hate the routine, the mundane routine. But you don't have to do that anymore. You don't have to do that anymore. So although, like I say, every view isn't picture perfect, it opens up a whole new world of opportunity for you to get to know you, explore where you live, and create new likes for yourself, new healthy habits, new hobbies. It opens up a whole new world, and that is what I encourage. That's what I encourage for everybody because your life is your choice. At the beginning and end of every day, your life is your choice. So make the absolute best of it. That's where the freedom is. That's where the freedom is. If you're free in your mind to think and to realize there is no box, think freely. And if you're able to just think, and regardless of criticism, regardless of you never did that before, that's why I'm doing it now because I've never done it before. You're absolutely right. So let me go. To get past all of that, whatever may come, and to be able to just say, this is my life, and I have to navigate my life in a way that's going to make me happy, then I'm going to do that. I don't care about the ridicule. I don't care about the naysayers. I don't care about none of that. Then you are well on your way. One day, ma'am, one day. Enjoy. Have a good evening. Yeah, that's that's really it. So just know that everything isn't always a perfect day of perfect views and um just you got the perfect view with your cup of coffee or your hot chocolate and your tea, and it's not always that. But whatever it is, if you enjoy you and enjoy the choice that you've made, is going to be excellent for you. And that's really all that matters. And you just got to make the best of it for you. Because I'll tell you what, you hopefully, for anyone who sees this, who plans on living the van dwelling life, you absolutely, whatever downside, whatever con there could be, the fact that you're not paying thousands of dollars every 30 days to someone else strictly for a shelter should make it all better. Like, to me, that is absolutely insane to be able to have your lights on for however long if you want to, knowing that someone will not send you a bill for having that light on. That should make it all worth it. Not only that, but learning how to problem solve, learning how to really use your mind to figure out, what am I going to do for heat? Because it's not always just to say, oh, I could just buy a heater. When I became a van dweller, I realized that them little bitty space heaters in your apartment, those are 1,500 watts. 1,500 watts. I was like, damn. Because I've always had a space heater. I moved to Arizona with my space heater. People like, you moved to Arizona with it? Yes, I like to be hot. So I had a little small space heater. I never I never thought to look at the wattage when I lived traditionally. I just looked at the price and the size. That was it. Most of those little things are 1,500 watts. So then that led me on the journey of looking for a small space heater under 300 watts, So things like that. And then that's when I started using candles for my heat. Uh, and then through Bob Wells' channel, somebody that he toured said, well, you can use Crisco and then put a taper candle. And I was like, that's perfect. So just learning how to problem solve. I did end up getting a very little space heater that's in my front. It's 250 watts, but still my power station is only, I think, 350 or 360 watts. So when I run that, I can run that for 5 minutes straight and it will take this from full to dead. So, I still don't have the power equipped to be able to use that. So, but problem solving, learning how to supply what you need effectively and cost efficiently, and creatively. You don't have to always just go to what's ready made for you, because sometimes the ready made things in life in this lifestyle may not be efficient for you. The size, the wattage, and all these different things. So I think that's a plus because we have become a society of non thinkers. We have become an absolute dumbed down society of non thinking adults. And that is not good at all. So, along with everything else, becoming a mobile dweller will force you to think more creatively. It'll force you to learn to problem solve. It'll force you to do that. So, because either it will or it won't. And if it won't, you'll just go right back to living traditional because everything is laid out for you, and you don't have to think. It's just like, oh, okay, this is easy. I can think, but I'm also, stuck in a cage and a slave to all these bills and just society's way of living. And that may be okay for some people. Absolutely. I'm not knocking it. I'm not knocking that at all. But for those of us who are free thinkers, independent thinkers, and who think very well for ourselves, that is absolutely not okay for me. That life is not okay for me because I can think for myself. I am an excellent problem solver, you know, and I like to think. I like to think. So it's not a problem for me to have to figure things out, you know, and that's what I love. If this lifestyle, and I think any alternative lifestyle, even when you go from van life to you've bought land, now being a raw land owner, that's going to also increase your problem solving, your creativity, because now you have to develop this land for you to live on. You got to, figure out where you're going to put this, where you're going to put that. You got to, just get it ready. These are all good things because this is how we started as humanity, as human beings. This is how we started. We started off working for ourselves, working with our own hands, bartering, making, creating, and building. This is how we started. So now we've allowed the powers that be to give us these conveniences. We've allowed it. We've allowed it. A lot of people say they, but we accepted it though. We chose to accept it and continue to choose to accept it. So now we want to blame them for being overweight. We want to blame them for the fact that we don't think very well anymore. We want to blame them when we're the ones that accepted it. If we did never would have accepted it at the rate that we accepted it, we wouldn't be here. our food wouldn't be replaced by chemicals knowingly. They're not even lying about it anymore. So it's empowering to take accountability, because only you can do something about you. Like, you can't make me do anything, and I can't make you do anything, and we can't make they or them do anything, right? But you can absolutely change you. And if you say, I'm the one that chose this life of convenience, and look at where it's gotten me, you know. Um, so that means I'm the one that can change it. So what do I need to do? I need to increase my level of thinking. I need to increase my capacity to think. I need to increase my problem solving skills, my creative thinking, my critical thinking. I need to increase all of this by doing it, putting myself in a position to do it. Even something as simple as, even if someone doesn't have any desire to be a mobile dweller, something as simple as going camping on the weekends or once a month, going camping, tent camping, even that will increase your skills and your ability to think. Even just that right there, to whereas now you're like, you know what, I can lower my electricity bill and my gas bill just by doing this now in my home. You see what I'm saying? So now you're able to reduce your electricity and your gas bill, say, by $200, just because of what you've learned just from going camping. Not glamping, but actual camping. You'll be able to do that. you know I've known people who have had wood burning fireplaces in their home that never ever use it. They turn on the heat. I think that's crazy. I think that's crazy. You have a wood burning fireplace, but you don't use it because you don't know how to use it, or the inconvenience of going to get wood. I think that's insane. That's free heat, good heat. But no, it's easy to just turn on this thermostat, but it's not easy to pay that bill that you complain about on a regular basis. I'm just saying, we've gotten ourselves here, and we can unget ourselves from here. So my meat is thoroughly cold now, so I'm gonna end this live and finish eating. Thank you so much for tuning in. That's really all I had to say. So if you're not subscribed, go ahead and subscribe to my channel. Check out some of my videos, and I'll holler at y'all next time. Peace.